Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk Talk Speak podcast. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a company whose flat pack furniture has, well, probably found its way into homes all over the world. IKEA.
That iconic blue and yellow.
Exactly. We've gathered quite a bit of info, including sources like IKEA, which really breaks down their journey. From these really small beginnings to global dominance, their unique strategies, how they market themselves, the challenges they've faced.
And where they might be heading next. Yeah.
Right.
And I think beyond just, recognizing the stores or maybe struggling with an Allen key.
Oh, I've been there.
We all have. But our goal today is really to understand what fundamentally drove IKEA's amazing success.
Yeah, unpack those key insights.
Right. Into their business model, innovation, global strategy. Hopefully by the end, you'll see IKEA not just as a furniture shop, but as a really fascinating business case study.
Okay, let's get right into it then.
Yeah.
The IKEA story, it feels so deeply connected to its founder, Ingvar Kamprad, and where he grew up, Småland.
Småland, yeah, southern Sweden. And it was known for being, pretty poor, not a lot of resources.
And that wasn't just background noise, was it? It seems like it really shaped the company's core values.
Absolutely. That environment, it fostered this culture of frugality, resourcefulness, a very practical problem-solving kind of mindset. Kamprad himself, he was selling things from a really young age. Matches, pencils, seeds, you name it.
A born entrepreneur.
Totally. And what's interesting is how that Småland ethos wasn't just him, it got baked into IKEA itself. Figuring out how to buy low, sell effectively, even small scale.
That laid the groundwork.
Exactly, for the massive cost-conscious operation IKEA is today.
It's wild to think that the lack of resources there might have actually spurred things like flat pack furniture, self-assembly.
It likely did. Necessity, right. The mother of invention.
Yeah.
The whole mindset was about making the most what you had. Flat packing seems simple now, maybe.
Logistical tweak.
Right. But shipping furniture broken down, it massively cut transport volume, warehouse space needed.
Huge cost savings.
Huge. But it did more than save money. It fundamentally changed the furniture retail game, shifting the final assembly
To the customer.
Yeah. Which allowed lower prices, obviously. But it also created this sort of sense of ownership. People accepted this different way of shopping, a real insight into disrupting a market.
Okay, and the name IKEA, so recognizable. But it's not just catchy, is it? There's a story there.
There is. It's an acronym. IK for Ingvar Kamprad.
Right.
E for Elmteryd, his family farm. And A for Agunnaryd, his hometown.
Personal.
Very. He started it officially in 1943. He was only 17. Used some money his dad gave him for doing well in school.
Wow.
And initially it was mostly mail order, selling all sorts of small household items.
So no giant blue boxes back then, just catalogs in the mail?
Pretty much. The catalog, called IKEA News at first, that was their main link to customers, especially being out in the countryside.
Makes sense.
And they were incredibly resourceful, getting stuff to people, even used local milk delivery trucks for transport early on.
Milk trucks. That's fantastic. Such a picture of those early days.
Isn't it?
Then, 1948, things shifted toward furniture.
Yeah, they started adding furniture to the mail order lineup, mostly reselling stuff from local makers at first.
Okay.
But customers responded really well to the affordable prices. So by 51, they decided to focus completely on home furnishings.
And the first proper furniture catalog.
1950, then a really key move in 53. The first showroom opened in Älmhult.
So people could actually see and touch the stuff.
Exactly. Crucial for building trust, especially with that low-price mail-order model. People needed convincing.
But it wasn't all easy, right? Didn't the established players push back?
Oh, definitely. Big time. In 1955, there was a major boycott. Established furniture retailers, manufacturers, they felt threatened by IKEA's low prices.
Ouch, that sounds serious.
It was. But ironically, this pushback actually forced IKEA to develop some of its biggest strengths.
How so?
It forced them to start designing their own furniture. And they had to look outside Sweden for suppliers, starting with Poland.
So control over design and sourcing.
Became absolutely central to the brand and their cost control. And that Älmhult showroom, looking back, it was like an early version of experiential retail.
Right, letting people see the quality despite the low price.
Exactly. Tackling that skepticism head on.
So that adversity really set the stage for the IKEA way. And flat pack, self-assembly, that's probably the most iconic part. How did that specific idea even happen?
Well, the story goes it was 1956, almost accidental. An employee took the legs off a table to fit it in a car.
Just like that?
Apparently. And that sparked the idea. What if we shipped everything disassembled? The benefits were obvious pretty quickly.
Lower transport costs.
Less warehousing space.
Less damage in transit.
All that. But it was more than just logistics.
Right. There's that psychological thing, the IKEA effect. Putting it together yourself makes you value it more somehow.
Precisely. Customer involvement creates this sense of ownership, investment. It's clever cuts IKEA's labor costs, helping keep prices low, but also subtly boosts customer satisfaction.
And then there's the whole democratic design philosophy. It's not just about being cheap, is it? It's a balancing act.
Democratic design, yeah, that's absolutely key. It's their principle of trying to consciously balance 5 elements.
Okay, what are they?
Form the look, the aesthetics, function, does it do its job well, quality, durability, sustainability, environmental impact, and the big one, low price.
5 things to juggle.
And often their design process actually starts with a target price. Designers then work backwards to hit that price without sacrificing too much on the other 4.
Designing down to a price. Interesting.
Yeah, think of things like a Billy bookcase or maybe the Hectar lamp. They usually hit that balance pretty well. Decent design, functional, durable enough, more and more sustainable, and accessible price-wise.
And actually going to an IKEA store, that's an experience in itself, almost a day out.
It really is, and that layout is very, very deliberate. That fixed path guides you through all those room displays.
Maximizing exposure.
And impulse buys. It's called the Gruen effect. The layout slightly disorients you, makes you wander more, maybe buy things you didn't plan on.
I knew it!
Then you hit the market hall with all the smaller stuff, then the warehouse, and of course the restaurant.
Yes, the meatballs. Can't forget the meatballs. Or the veggie balls now, too.
Exactly. And the restaurant is strategic. It stops people leaving when they get hungry or tired.
Keeps them in the store longer.
Lets them discuss purchases. Plus, it suddenly showcases IKEA stuff in use. And those random bins of cheap stuff, bulla bulla, they sometimes call them, or the little items near checkout.
Impulse buys.
All calculated to get those last few items in your cart.
It really does all seem to circle back to being incredibly cost-conscious. That feels like the bedrock principle.
Absolutely. That Smolen thriftiness, Kamprad's philosophy, it runs through everything. Material efficiency and design, global sourcing for cost-effective suppliers, the flat pat logistics, the self-service model.
Making more from less.
That's the mantra. Relentless cost control is what lets them offer those low prices and still operate at such a huge scale.
Okay, so they built this super efficient model. How do they take it global? From Sweden to, well, everywhere. What was the strategy there?
It was pretty methodical, actually, a phased approach. First, they went into markets that were culturally and geographically close. Norway, Denmark, back in the 60s.
Makes sense. Start nearby.
Then the 70s saw a big expansion into the rest of Europe, plus their first steps into Asia, Australia, North America. It just kept rolling through the decades, Latin America, more in Asia.
And the franchising helped speed that up.
Definitely. Starting in the 80s, the franchise system really helped accelerate that global reach. Interestingly, Germany and the U.S. ended up being their 2 biggest markets.
And the numbers now are just huge.
Yeah, as of spring 2025, something like 483 stores across 63 countries, truly global.
Wow. But they couldn't just drop the exact same store everywhere, could they? Surely they had to adapt. Glocalization, is that the term?
Exactly, glocalization, balancing the global brand with local needs. And they've gotten pretty good at it, though sometimes learning the hard way.
Like where? What are some examples?
Well, China's a good one. DIY assembly wasn't really a thing there initially, so they partnered up to offer assembly services.
Yeah.
They also offered smaller furniture for smaller city apartments, put stores near public transport, even tweaked the restaurant menu.
Okay. And India.
Similar things, smaller furniture, incorporating some local design touches, huge emphasis on vegetarian food options. Their Hyderabad restaurant is massive, apparently the world's biggest IKEA restaurant. And careful pricing was key.
You mentioned learning the hard way. Japan. Didn't they stumble there first?
They did. Their first try in Japan back in the 70s didn't work out. They pulled out in '86.
Why?
Mostly because their standard, larger European-sized products and the whole DIY thing just didn't fit Japanese homes or culture at the time. Small living spaces, you know.
Right.
But they went back in 2006 after doing much deeper research. This time with smaller furniture, assembly services readily available, even marketing showing products in, like, tatami room settings. much more adapted.
So that research is critical.
Absolutely. Even the U.S. had early issues. European bed sizes, smaller sofas than Americans were used to. They had to redesign and source more locally. It really shows that balancing act between standardizing globally and adapting locally is tough, but crucial.
And it's not just the products they adapt, right? The store formats are changing too, not just giant blue boxes outside of town.
Exactly. They're adapting to cities, changing shopping habits, sometimes planning rules. So you see smaller city center stores now, Paris, Tokyo, Manchester.
More accessible for some people.
Yeah. Plus, plan and order points, places you can design a kitchen, say, then arrange pickup. Even tiny concept stores like in Bali, it shows they're flexible.
Where's the biggest one now?
Pasay City in the Philippines, massive place.
Wow. So it's all part of this move towards omnichannel, blending the physical stores with online.
Precisely. Adapting to how people shop today.
Let's talk about the brand itself. How did they build such a strong, lasting image? For years, that catalog was everything.
Oh, the catalog. A legend in marketing. For 70 years, 1951 right up to 2021.
70 years.
At its peak, it was apparently printed more than almost any other publication. But it wasn't just a list of products. It sold a lifestyle.
Inspiration.
Exactly. Reflected how people lived, showed the IKEA philosophy in action. You could see social trends change just by looking at old catalogs.
Why did they stop printing it?
Demand was falling, honestly. People moved online. Digital just became more effective for reaching people and telling those stories. So they're trying to transfer that inspirational role to their website and apps now.
And the brand identity feels so tied to those core ideas. Simplicity, affordability, that Swedishness.
Absolutely. Their whole mission to create a better everyday life for the many people, that's core. And they're incredibly consistent with the visuals.
The blue and yellow, the logo, the store look.
Instantly recognizable. Builds trust. And that document by Kamprad, The Testament of a Furniture Dealer from '76, still seen as foundational for their values. Even the store journey itself is marketing.
How so?
The room sets inspire you, show solutions. The restaurant, the play areas, they make the visit better, keep you there longer. It's all designed to engage you emotionally.
And now, digital is obviously huge for keeping that connection going.
It has to be. E-commerce is massive for them now. They've got things like the augmented reality app, IKEA Place.
Or you can see furniture in your room.
Yeah, pretty cool. They're active on social media, using online ads smartly for remarketing, even looking into VR experiences.
So embracing tech.
Fully. And sustainability, too. That's become a really core message, the people and planet positive strategy.
Highlighting eco-friendly products, recycling programs.
Right. The buyback and resell thing. It appeals to consumers who care about the environment, reinforces their image as responsible, and honestly, it fits their cost-conscious roots, too. Efficiency, less waste.
Of course, a company this big, operating globally for so long, they must have hit some serious bumps in the road. Failures, challenges.
Oh, for sure. No company avoids those entirely. We mentioned the initial struggles in Japan and the U.S. getting the localization wrong at first.
Right.
Even in China, despite the success now, early on the DIY concept was a hurdle, and hitting those low price points wasn't easy. And then there have been product safety issues.
Recalls.
Yeah, some significant ones. The Malem dressers, that was huge. Millions were called globally because of tip-over risks, tragically linked to child deaths.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah. And petrol safety gates had issues, some kids' lamps too. These things really damaged trust, obviously. They had to react with refunds, fixes, and you hope much stricter safety testing afterward.
And reputational challenges beyond products.
Yes. Back in '94, revelations surfaced about Ingvar Kamprad's involvement with pro-Nazi groups in his youth. That required public apologies and explanations.
It's gold stuff.
Very. And more recently, remember that LUF-SIG wolf cushion in Hong Kong?
Vaguely. It became a political symbol.
Unexpectedly, yeah. Shows how even a simple product can get caught up in local issues. Requires careful handling. And then external shocks, COVID-19 hit them like everyone else. Store closures, though online sales surged. But supply chain chaos led to price increases in 2022.
Right. Inflation hit everywhere.
And the invasion of Ukraine in 2022 led them to close all their Russian stores, sell factories, a massive decision with big consequences.
But it sounds like a real strength of IKEA is their ability to actually learn from these things, to bounce back. Resilience.
Absolutely. That seems to be a core part of their DNA. The way they eventually succeeded in Japan after failing first, that's a prime example.
Learning from mistakes.
They even talk about tolerating good mistakes. It suggests a culture that isn't afraid to try things and adapts when things don't work. Strategic agility, really. They're constantly innovating thousands of new products a year, exploring new materials, tweaking the supply chain, automating factories. That value of renewal and improvement seems genuine.
And it looks like digital transformation and sustainability are the big strategic pushes now, shaping their future.
Exactly. They aren't just add-ons anymore. They're woven into the core business model and how they talk about themselves.
And they kind of feed each other, right?
Yeah.
Digital helps with accessibility. Sustainability speaks to responsible consumption.
Precisely. Both are huge in today's market. IKEA is still in a strong position, that huge store network. But now online sales are a massive chunk, like 26% in FY24. It's a true hybrid bricks and clicks model now.
Still getting lots of people in stores, though.
Hundreds of millions. And they're trying new things too, like furniture rental pilots, maybe moving beyond just selling products to selling broader home solutions or services.
So as we kind of wrap this up, what are the big takeaways from this IKEA story? What really stands out about their success?
I think it's that powerful mix. You've got the founder's original strong vision, then this revolutionary adaptable business model. Add sophisticated glocalization, getting that global-local balance right, mostly.
Strong branding, too.
Very strong, consistent brand marketing. And finally, that resilience, the ability to learn and adapt from the tough times. And crucially, these things aren't separate. They all connect and reinforce each other.
Creates a powerful advantage.
Extremely hard to copy. Looking ahead, you'd guess they need to keep pushing on digital, keep leading on sustainability, stay agile, and importantly, stay true to those core values: affordability, design, function, that better everyday life for the many.
It really is a fascinating story.
Definitely. A great case study in how a company with deep roots can navigate a complex global landscape through constant innovation and adaptation.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the truly fascinating story of IKEA. It's been incredible to explore how a small Swedish mail-order business evolved into a global home furnishing giant through such a distinctive blend of, well, clever innovation and strategic adaptation.
Yeah, like a journey.
We hope you've gleaned some valuable insights into how these approaches might be relevant, maybe to your own areas of interest. And here's a final thought for you to consider. In a world of increasing globalization, how can a company maintain a strong and recognizable identity, one deeply rooted in its local origins, while still successfully navigating the complexities of diverse global markets and, ever-changing consumer expectations? Thank you for joining us. See you next time.